Hello and welcome. We are going to look at a new map today. I am at this screen because I want to give you a chance to look at the seed number. It's quite lengthy. 915-254-782-775-379-6314. That is a map that will load you in right by. Let me see if this is the spawn point where I'm loading in. No, I've been exploring, but it loads you in right by a village. This village here. This is a plains biome, and you can see this is a small village. It doesn't even have doors on all the buildings. That one has a door. I think I may have, no, see that's missing a door. There's not very many buildings here, but it does have 1, 2, 3, 4, I believe it's just the 4 farms. I thought there might be another one. Yeah, here's another one. 5, 6. It has 6 farms. Okay. Now, when it comes to villagers, personally, I'm a little confused because at one point, the YouTube videos indicated, and the websites, the postings indicated that the number of villagers was determined by the number of doors, basically. That you could breed them by creating these little temporary apartments where there were so many doors and the villagers would breed. Well, it's kind of hard to count them because they don't stay put, but let's see if we can try. There's 1, 2. Okay, wait. That one over there was 1, 2. Here's 3. There's another one, 4, 5. I think this has 5 villagers. Yeah, that's what it looks like. 5 villagers, possibly 6. It's hard to tell with them moving around. So 6 villagers, 1, 2, 3. How many farms did we say? 1, 2, 3. 4, 5. Okay. So it looks like and there's one. How many doors on this house? 2. There's 2 doors on this house. I think there's another house with. Okay, and there's a door over there, so that's 3. There's 2 doors on this house, so that's 5. No door here, no door on that other building. So, this village, in particular, it looks like we have, say, 5 villagers, 5 farms, 5 doors. Some of the videos that I used to see would say that in order to get more villagers, you need to have so many doors. A recent video that I saw says that the villagers seem to be attracted to the farms, the little gardens here. This particular village does not really tell me anything because it seems we have the same amount of farms or little gardens as we do doors. So I don't know if it's a combination now with the 1.8. There's quite a bit of information on the internet about how to build your villages and expand them and get your villagers to breed and different things like this. But some of them are old and outdated, and some of them I have not gone through the process They talk about how a villager has to be standing by a particular door. Of course, I don't even know how they're getting into this house, but how they have to be standing by a particular door when the game updates, so that it recognizes that house as part of the village. Talks about how the village radius is like 32 tiles from a certain point, and then out and around. And you could cut that, you could measure that with like a perimeter. You can make a parameter if you count out the 30, if you find the center point and count out 32 tiles. There are different ways to talk about how to expand your village. If you do not want to use cheats or commands, then it can be a very tedious process. Now, I am talking about survival mode. I'm not talking about creative mode, because in creative mode, oh, I don't have cheats on this map. Well, we'll go to a different one. I have uploaded this map to one of my Realms worlds. The concept of customizing a village and expanding it is not new. This is not my original idea. This is not something I thought of, but it is something that seems to be quite popular. A lot of people seem to enjoy this concept, and it's an attractive concept. It's a tempting concept. There's a lot of games based on this concept. SimCity, for one. I mean, the whole point is to build up your own city and to get more citizens and things like that. So it doesn't necessarily have to be your original concept. The village that I have here, alright, I'm gonna fly so it'll be a little faster. I did this in survival mode excuse me, but I did use cheats. So let me show you, for those of you who are not familiar with creative mode. You can go to this little compass and type spawn, and there is an egg that you can use. Oh, come on, stop flying. You use this and you can just simply right click it and you can create a villager. Okay, that's one way to do it. Now I'm going to go back out of so that we are in survival mode. Okay, and you can type summon space and make sure you capitalize the V, summon villager, and you can simply do it that way. Okay, now they will go to the nearest house when it gets dark, and they do tend to cluster up in particular houses. I don't know all the mechanics as to why. One thing you have to be careful, this is the same, oh, hang on, I was trying to fly, I'm back in survival mode. Okay, let's get rid of this, I don't want that. Okay, this is the original location that you just saw the other village. Over here, I believe it's about, yes, this location right here is where the original blacksmith shop was. And the reason I know that is because I started a mine shaft inside the blacksmith shop, and it's now inside this building. What I did, you can see by the sheer breaks in these mountains, I leveled everything. And what I did was I tore down the entire village except for the one house that had the two doors And I ended up tearing out all their little gardens and stuff. Well, my villagers despawned. I only had one villager left, and believe me, he was a little lost. Now, at the time that I tore all this stuff down, I had this building here, and it has 2 doors on the front, and we will take a more detailed tour later. It has 2 doors on the front, so I thought it would be enough to save 2 villagers. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I have a terrible cold. I thought it would be enough to save 2 villagers. I was mistaken. I had torn down their gardens and all of their houses except for the one with the 2 doors, but I was only the only one villager stayed. So the other villagers were replaced with the summon command, the summon villager command. Now, not all of them were. I do believe some of them have bred since then, but I did summon quite a few. So I did not keep good records. I don't know how many of them bred on their own as I built. I don't know how many of them bred as I made the gardens. But anyway, what I'm showing you, I just want to make it clear, I did not do all of this without cheats. I did not do this in creative mode. I did do it in survival mode, but I did use cheats. I have cheats on, and I used commands. So if you are looking for a method that is strictly survival mode without cheats, then this is not going to help you for that. But it might give you some ideas for building. You might find this interesting. And none of my houses are decorated on the inside yet. I was more worried about the actual village. Basically, my concept that I'm going for here is, like a type of community that you would find on an island or, I don't know, a bay or something like that. So basically, they're going to have a lot of imports, exports from shipping, that kind of thing. That was the premise that I was working on. So I have several piers here. Now this one, obviously this water does not lead into the ocean. So this would be just like a little fishing dock. And one thing about Minecraft that drives me crazy is I have so many ideas when I play. I can't keep track, and I'm like, ooh, I want to try that. Oh, I want to try that. Oh, I meant to try this. Ooh, I wanted to try that. One of the things I keep meaning to do is set boats out on the water for decoration. Actual crafted boats. At some point I would like to build like a ship, and one of the new worlds that you can load into realms if you want to choose it. It's Raiders Refuge, I believe is the name of it. I have it on one of my videos, and it basically is like a pirates area. Pretty cool. There's also another world that you can load up that has this massive ship, and it is fantastic. Whoever built it was obviously skilled. The problem is my particular preference is things that are more proportional to your actual avatar. Now, when you do buildings like this building has high ceilings. Yes, it's going to have high ceilings. Yes, my little too high avatar that's only 2 blocks high does not need a ceiling that is 12 blocks high or whatever. But to me, that still is proportional, because we as humans we enjoy buildings that have high ceilings, whether it's a cathedral, whether it's just an older home with the high ceilings and the beams or whatever. So I don't consider that too excessive or too disproportionate. But what I do consider disproportionate is when you do your indoor decorative furniture and you create a bed that your little avatar would have to climb a ladder to get into, and it's big enough for 5 avatars. Okay, that kind of thing I try to stay away from. It's really hard to do a toilet that is proportionate to your character. Anyway, oh good, the sun's going down so you can see. But anyway, so I did these little piers, and these little knob things here are supposed to be where if you were coming into shore and you needed to tie your boat up. I don't know the nautical terms. I'm not a water person, other than I love to swim. I'm not a boating person, let's put it that way. These little, these are supposed to be little areas where you would, you know, wrap the boat around it. This is, of course, mostly a little fishing pond because it's too small. It doesn't feed into the ocean. These out here are intended to be like, well, obviously you could fish off of them too, but more for the import-export, or if you have another island out there somewhere and you have a ferry, you know, whatever your story is. And I am a role player, and I do like to have stories, and I realize in Minecraft there are, well, there's really very few limits as to what you can build. I really don't know that your building is limited. It's how you do it, how you implement it, that can be limited. Because you do have to go with just the square blocks. There are no diagonals. There are no curves. You could make a rough arch or attempt a curved like shape, but you are dealing with squares. So there are a few limits, but basically, whether it's built out of dirt, sand, gravel, cobblestone, whatever, what you build is there's quite a bit of variety here. You can do just about anything you want. So you'll see that there are lights. You can see how these the sugar cane, and forgive me, sometimes I call them bamboo. I try to stick with the actual names of the items. But I have buried jack-o'-lanterns in the ground, scattered around, so that at night I do get this diffused lighting effect because I think it's pretty. It's my personal taste. I didn't do it for every one of them, as you can see here and there, but I did do them, and I did use 2. I don't know that that was necessary. In this area I used 3, that area I used 1, but I wanted some lighting around the water because I think it's pretty. So, and I really don't know how realistic it is to have cacti, a little cacti garden here, considering it's right on the beach. But people do put in cactus gardens. Some people do that whether they live in the desert or not. Some people enjoy the cactus. So I wanted the color, I wanted the different shapes and dimensions, so that's what I did. Now around the back of the house there are flower beds, and a hedge, but in the front we went with a cactus garden. I'll give you a quick tour of this. This is the first building that I did, and if anybody wants to see builds on any of this stuff, I will do them. Just leave a comment and I'll be happy to do builds to show you how these were done. This one is a little more complicated. Not difficult at all, but it's a little bit more than just a 10 by 10 basically is what I'm saying. And for the archway, you can see I used fence, and I used a lot of fence, you know, for my, what I consider sconces or whatever, for my torches. I did use a lot of vines. One thing you have to be careful of with the vines, excuse me, I'm sorry, they do grow and spread on their own, and more than once I've had to come and bust out vines that were blocking the door. They've actually grown over the door. So you want to keep an eye on that if you want your NPCs to be able to go in and out the doors. One of the, I don't know if you would consider this a disadvantage or not, but it's not unusual for me to come up here and find an NPC stuck at the top of one of these vines, because they do work like ladders, and NPCs will use a ladder. So you want to watch for that too, depending on how much interaction you want with your NPCs. And I haven't really got into the trading with these NPCs yet. I haven't started unlocking anything. I basically like having them around because it makes my town seem a little bit more realistic. So right now I'm not really concerned if I have a farmer or a librarian or a butcher or whatever. I just like having the NPCs around to make it a little more realistic. This is the main room. This would be the main office. Like I said, this is supposed to be an import-export, so this building, I do not consider it a house. It would be a central part of the business. It would be the hub of the town, basically, where, you know, when you bring goods in, this is where they would go. There would be a warehouse where everything is stored. You know, maybe some kind of, I can't remember the name of the government facility that checks these things to make sure you're not bringing in drugs or whatever. Anyway, this would be the main room, and the side rooms are the same. I have a little railing here to keep you from just randomly falling off, even though there's not much fall damage at this height. I used slabs for my staircase, and no, there's no support, so no, that's not very realistic, but I like the look of it. So, and I like the openness. There's not much space in this side room to do a whole lot because, once again, it's not intended to be a house. It's intended to be a business. And, of course, as you can see, the other side is the same. They are symmetrical. Now, down here, and this part is not completely finished. I don't like the stone here. I'm going to dig all this out and replace it with a wood or, yeah, probably a wood. Maybe jungle, maybe spruce, I don't know. But this would be the warehouse. And as you can see, we have a villager down here. There's also a villager down further in the shaft. This is the original shaft that I started on this world. If you've seen any of my other videos, you've seen my style of mining shafts. Everybody has their own style. This is the one I like, and I'll show that to you more later. But basically, and as you can see, this took a long time, because not only did I have to dig all this out and I lined it with the wood, there's also wood behind all the chests, and at one point I was digging into the ocean, so I had to keep going back up into the ocean and placing sandstone so the water would stop coming in. It got quite annoying. So that's something you might want to take into consideration when you choose your building site. I wanted my building right there on the water, so even as annoying as it was for me to keep fighting the water trying to come in, I still wanted this site. So I have gone to a website. Let me pull this up. I went to a website that had all kinds of, it had all the item IDs for Minecraft. It was basically a database. So I went to that and I opened up a word processor program, and I started typing up the items, and then I put them in alphabetical order as I did it. Now, the way that they're grouped in the item ID list is not the same as how I grouped them here. As you will see, I wanted to keep it primarily alphabetized, but there are certain things like doors, fence, gates. I did this all under acacia. Instead of just saying stairs, acacia, stairs, birch, stairs, jungle, I wanted all my acacia in one area, because if I'm building something and I'm using primarily acacia wood, I wanted all of these things in one area, so I didn't have to run all over the basement or all over the warehouse to find these things. So I kept all my acacia together, my birch together, my jungle together, these things. Now, like my armor, really there's no point in having the chain armor unless you're going to be in creative mode, because you cannot craft chain armor in survival mode, which was a disappointment to me. If you can, please let me know, because I have done quite a bit of Googling, and everything I have found indicates that unless you are using a mod, which I am not using any mods right now, unless you're using a mod or in creative mode, you can't get the chain. But instead of saying horse armor or iron armor, again, I labeled it as armor, and then the description is the second word, and then of course it's alphabetized that way. There's my banners. Let's see, what was I gonna... Okay, and like the fish, I didn't separate out raw fish, cooked fish. I just did fish, the clownfish, fish, the pufferfish, fish, salmon, fishing rod, etc. So, and you can see all my glasses in one place, my plain glass and my pane glass, then the stained. So, anyway, this is what I did. It took quite a bit of time to get this all alphabetized and grouped the way I wanted it. But in the end, it was worth it. Now, I don't have all of these items in stock yet, because I don't even have a brewing stand yet. And the reason I don't have a brewing stand yet is because we have not, we don't have any blaze or blaze rods or blaze powder. We don't have any of that stuff, and that's something you would need for that. So there are items that I don't have made yet because I simply don't have the resources at this time. But I used the item frames to put next to these chests. And as you can see, these chests are sideways. And I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's an oak wall behind it to make it a little nicer. Because I tried doing part of it with the wall and part without. And at a distance, when you do it without, you can actually see the random stone behind there and different things behind there, believe it or not. I didn't think it would be that visible, but for somebody like me who's a little, maybe possibly too obsessed with detail, I did notice it, and it bothered me. So I did line all of this in oak behind the chests, behind the storage area. But as you see, we start here. We've got the acacia door, fence, gate, leaves, logs, planks, saplings, slabs, stairs. Then we go into the, I believe that's alluvium. Yeah, allium. It's a flower. And then up here we have, this is the andesite. Now, for things like andesite, which you're going to get quite a bit of, andesite, cobblestone, dirt, gravel, granites, diorite, things of that nature, I left several chests. Now, some of them I didn't have enough item. I couldn't. It's a lot of leather to do these frames. That's a lot of cow killing, by the way. So I didn't have item frames as I went. I would do as much as I could, and then, like, obviously not here, but when I set this up for some of these multiple items, I would say, okay, here's the first chest, and I'd put some in there, and then like every chest I wanted reserved, I would drop one block in that chest to reserve it. Oh, 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 oh. We have polished in here. It's not supposed to be in here. It's supposed to be up here. Ah, I see why, because it's full. Okay. So I don't have enough chests for my polish. Anyway, I went through my item list and made these things, and then a lot of this stuff I actually know the recipe for without having to look it up, but some of this stuff I don't make it enough, so I did have to look it up. Now, I considered making a meat section, but I'm going to have different buildings that are going to have a particular purpose, like a bakery or a butcher shop or different things like that. So I'm going to have these things stored in different areas as well. This is just the main warehouse, okay? All of my resources are not going to be stored here, but this when I get it to where I want it, is going to be full of every resource. I'll show you what I mean in a minute. Okay. So anyway, as you can see, I went through here. And the reason for the furnaces and the crafting tables here and the little extra chests, the reason I did this was when I'm trying to load up on stone, it's a lot of smelting. Obviously, cobblestone's easy to come by, so if you're trying to build up your stone resources, then you're going to need to do a lot of smelting. So I have several furnaces. I have furnaces lined all around the walls, and if you notice, there are no furnaces or crafting benches along these two areas, and that is because those chests are all empty and they have no designations right now. And the reason I allowed for that, even though it may seem excessive at this moment, is for overflow. And like you saw, the polished is already overflowing. So at some point, I may need to shift all this. And when I shift all that, I'm going to need somewhere to go. So that's why the extra chests. And you never know, I may just throw a sign up and say, this is a dump chest for the such and such building site. So that while I'm working on that building site, whether it's a cabin somewhere or whatever, I will know to go to this particular chest, and everything I'm using for that building site is in that chest. So it gives me more options. Anyway, the crafting benches, I'll show you. I got really tired of some things you need to keep in blocks for storage if you're going to have a lot of it. And I have a lot of iron. I'll show you. Okay, you see these blocks? Well, when I'm mining and I have a ton of iron and I go to put this up, I don't want to fill up all my chests with the ingots. So I come over here and I throw them into blocks. Then I just toss them in here, and then I have a pile for ingots. And when I get enough ingots to make another block, then I grab those and add them. So that also conserves your storage space. Just in case you're not familiar enough with the blocks, I'll show you how to do that. You say you have all these ingots, you can just click drag and it will spread them out in all the boxes. There it is. And then shift left click and you have all of that. And then just shift left click and it tosses it up in your chest. Okay, so that it condenses quite a bit, because 64 blocks of iron, that's gonna eat up quite a bit of ingots. So it does help with your storage situation. And then of course I have this for the iron bars, and you've got iron doors and different things. Now some of these areas you will see I have empty frames and empty chest, and that's because whatever goes here, I don't have it yet. Maybe I just haven't gone out and collected it yet, or maybe I don't have the stuff to make it yet, like an ender chest. I don't have the blaze rod to make the ender chest, things of that nature. I am in survival mode. We play in peaceful mode most of the time. There's my quartz. I use Silk Touch and I got it in its natural state, but I believe I'm going to have to break it down in order to get my quartz slabs and things. I was hoping I'd be able to craft with it in this manner, but it doesn't seem that I can. So I'll have to break it down and make blocks. The glowstone, I prefer to use the Silk Touch, because if you use a regular pick on your glowstone, you're going to get the powder, and it takes quite a bit of powder to make a block of glowstone. But if you use a Silk Touch enchanted pick, then you get the whole block as it is naturally, and it's more efficient. More for your money, basically. Okay. So anyway, that's what this is about. And the chests here, I meant to explain. Rift Cortex is my friend that plays on my Realm server with me. And he had a bunch of stuff to smelt, and I didn't have these set up this way at the time. And he was like, you know, we really could use a chest to throw stuff in, you know, if we're smelting a whole bunch of cobblestone or smelting a whole bunch of clay or whatever, that we can just throw that stuff in, and that way, if we look in those chests, we know that that stuff needs to be smelted. You know, if we don't have room to put it. Or if you just want to drop something off, use it as a drop box. Like, if I'm going to go... Oh, I'm still in creative mode. Oh, I'll stay that way because I'm going to need to fly in a minute. Anyway, so let's say I'm working on excavating and... or maybe not excavating. Maybe I'm just out collecting wood. Well, if I'm out collecting wood, chances are I don't need my picks. I need axes. So I'm going to throw my picks somewhere. And I may not necessarily put them back in the pick chest, the pickaxe chest, because they're mine and it's just out of my inventory. Maybe I've got other crap in my inventory. And anyway, so it's helpful to have a drop box. Now I'm going to show you the basement or the bottom level of this mining shaft. They're going crazy. Down, 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 down we go. And you see these walls, you see all these resources, how thick this is. This is not a default setting. If you play in a regular default map, on a regular default map, you are not going to see resources like this. In order to get your resources like this, I'll show you real quick. Okay, go to more world options, default super flat bottom. Okay, you go to customize. I always turn off the ravines. I always max the dungeons. But on the next page, you see this dirt, gravel, granite. Dirt, gravel I don't mess with. But I will boost these things up. And I don't know if everyone is aware of this option or not. I usually put this at 25 and that at 20. 25 and 20. Anyway, I go through all these ores and I set them at 25, 20. Okay? And then I hit done. Now the next page, if you're into this stuff and you know how to mess with it, go for it. That's up to you. I don't know enough about it to mess with it, so I leave that stuff alone. But anyway, that's how you can set your resources up. And if you're going to upload a world for your Realm server, if you have a Realm server, if you don't set your cheats on, you may regret it. So, because I don't know how much of this you can do with just being the administrator, with it being your server, and how much is allowed through the cheats. But I always turn the cheats on just in case. So, anyway, that's how you do that. We're going to go back in here. And as you see, this is with it bumped. So, basically, I don't necessarily like to play creative mode. I mean, there are times when I'm just not in the mood to worry about collecting anything. And I just want to test something. And I want to see what it'll look like. There are times I will go into creative mode and I will experiment with different things. But primarily I play on survival mode. And as I do enjoy gathering resources, I like having to go get the wood. I like having to go kill the squid to get my ink. I like having to mine for my things. But that doesn't mean I want to do that 24/7. Now, I do have some single-player worlds that I play where the resources are default. They are nothing like this. They are just as you would find them in a default map, but because there are times when I enjoy that kind of a challenge. But for our realm servers, I bump up the resources. So as you can see, I have plenty of diamond here, and if I were to use an enchanted pick with fortune on it, I would probably get quite a bit of diamond. I get plenty anyway. It's so plentiful that I could probably build a house out of diamond blocks if I wanted to, if I just took the time to mine it. This is at level 5. I'm down to level 5. This is where I found the bedrock. So anyway, I just wanted to show that to you. And the way I do my mine shafts, as you can see, it's 2 here. And then I keep these walls here for safety so I don't slide off. It makes it easier for me because I'm a klutz. And that way when I'm going up and down, I don't have to risk. There's no risk of falling or taking damage because the ladders hug me, the sidewalls hug me. So there's no damage. I'm going to go all the way up. I do have trapdoors, but I think I'm going to take these off. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do that right now. Oh, no, I'm not, because I'm in creative mode. I don't want to bust a bunch of stuff by accident. I did have the trapdoors closed because I didn't want my NPCs falling down the shaft. Well, then I found out, I realized that even with this shaft as deep as it is, they will still climb the ladder. As you see, there's plenty of them up here. And I have closed these before, and I've tried to come up here, and there's been a whole traffic jam here. There was 4 villagers stuck. Their bodies were halfway through the trap doors. Well, because they were there, I couldn't target anything. Because every time I tried to target, I was targeting one of the NPCs, trying to trade. So I had to go back down and go up the stairs through the building, out and around, and come into the village and open the trap door so they could finish coming out of the shaft. So you just saw that guy fall down there. But he'll come back eventually, as long as these are open. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and stop this video here so that it's not excessively long. I still have a ton of stuff to show you, so I'm going to try to break this up a little bit. I am terrible about having videos that run over an hour because I just am having so much fun. I lose track of time. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this video here, and we will pick up in just a minute. I'll start it up again, and we will continue with our tour. I want to thank you for your time. I really appreciate your time. If you want to do a like, that's great. If you don't, then that's fine too. It kind of annoys me when people push for the likes. I understand the necessity of them because it makes your video more searchable. There are advantages if you have a lot of likes on your videos, but in my opinion, if somebody really likes it, they're going to do it on their own. So I try not to. And I guess it's not really begging, but it seems like begging. So I try not to do that. Anyway, I just appreciate your time. Your time is very valuable, and the fact that you shared any of it with me is a big deal. And I really appreciate it. I hope you and yours are well and happy. And I do hope you will return for the next segment. Thank you very much.